KHEA initiative, the government released the National Organic Agriculture Policy. Organic exports and imports are part of Uganda's economy. Now, sustainable agriculture is seen as a means of improving people's livelihoods, as it could provide significant benefits for its economy, society and the environment. PELUM Uganda members and the other partners have been active in promoting this conversation of upscaling the organic farming practices in Uganda, both in practice and in policy. And as a result, appreciation of the organic products in Uganda is picking up slowly, though steadily. Now, it's estimated that consumers' demand for organic products is growing rapidly at over 10% annually. This growth is a demand that is encouraging, but domestic production of organic crops is not keeping pace. To make sense of this and more, in studios I have Mr. Katende Albert from KHEA Multiplier Uganda. I have Mrs. Josephine Asia Luimbazi, the country coordinator in PELUM Uganda, and the KHEA project co-host coordinator, plus Mr. Nsanga Francis, the KHEA project manager. This conversation is powered by Knowledge Hub for Organic Agriculture in Eastern Africa and other partners. I'm Andrew Chamagil, and join this conversation on Twitter. The hashtag is Know What You Eat. Good afternoon, gentlemen and ladies.
Good afternoon.
For Mrs. Ulimbaz, I will say Happy New Year. Mr. Nsanga, I will say Happy New Year. Albert, good to see you.
Good to see you.
How do you feel being here?
I mean, I've been seeing you on TV.
We are live now.
I'm seeing you up close and I mean, you look organic.
Oh dear, I'm very organic. Yes. I'm grateful about that. Let's first talk about the KHEA project. What is it all about? Can you make sense for the least Ugandan to understand it?
Yeah, KHEA Knowledge Hub for Organic Agriculture in East Africa, Eastern Africa.
Yeah,
there are several hubs. We have the hub of the northern, the southern, the central. Now we are Eastern Africa, where Uganda is part. Uganda, Rwanda, Tanzania, Kenya. So this hub houses the project of the Knowledge Center for Organic Agriculture, which is housed under PELUM Uganda. And we are here. I mean, the keyword is knowledge. Knowledge. Disseminate the knowledge to the farmer down.
Yeah.
So that's what we do best, especially in the organic world. We want to hit back the train or the organic trail, because we went off the rails, so we want to put the organic world back on the trail.
I love that. Yeah. Good to see you, Albert.
Good to see you.
Mrs. Rimba is Asha here. When we talk about PELUM, he said that KHEA is under PELUM. What does PELUM do?
Thank you so much, Andrew, and good evening, viewers. I'm pleased to be here again to talk about why we need to eat organic, why we need to know what we're actually consuming.
Yes.
And you've asked me what PELUM does.
Yeah.
PELUM stands for Participatory Ecological Land Use Management, which is PELUM Uganda. And we are part of a PELUM association, which has presence in 12 countries within East and Central and Southern Africa. So as PELUM Uganda, what we do as a network of 66 member organizations, we foster the growth and promotion of organic agriculture and agroecology.
Wow, that is deep. Mr. Nsanga, good to see you again. And the conversation we're talking about is know what you eat.
Yeah.
When you see what we are buying on the market, does it scare you? The research says slowly the pace of people who are consuming organic foods, it's getting there, but it's extremely slow. The penetration is not as fast as we hoped it is. When you see what we eat and what we buy online, does it worry you? And if so, why?
It does. It does. Thank you very much, Andrew. Again, I am very happy to be here.
Same here. Good to see you.
Yes, good to see you, and I'm very happy to have this conversation once more. We should get something like a chair. They call it a desk.
A desk.
At NTV. For this conversation to keep continuing. Exactly. So I'm very glad. It really scares me, and I think it scares so many other people, the way people eat and the way they do not care about it. I keep wondering, because some people, I have friends who actually say, I can only take fuel from this petrol station. And then when you ask, they want to keep their engines good.
Clean,
And so my question is, why don't we bother about what we eat? we care about our cars.
But we don't care about us.
Exactly. So I think it's time for us to talk about this. Why wouldn't somebody care about what they are putting in their body? And you've rightly put it. What is happening online, it's all, for lack of another word, junk. So we need to really address these issues because there's a lot we can do, and getting organic is as simple as it is. It is not as difficult as people maybe are thinking. And so we have all the avenues. KHEA, the Knowledge Hub for Organic Agriculture, is here for that very reason. Wow. We are in 4 countries in Eastern Africa, and starting our work in Madagascar as the 5th country. And our work is to ensure that we bring knowledge to the consumers, but also to the farmers, to the entire value chain actors. And so this is the right time, I think, for us to bring what Mr. Kakande said, the train back on the rail.
On the rail.
Yes.
Mr. Kakande, when he talks about the organic foods and what we need to have, one would think that when they're in their garden and they're doing, the usual subsistence agriculture, that is organic. Could you help the viewer to understand the difference between organic and what we do in the villages or in our gardens?
Yeah, indigenous knowledge tells us that our forefathers used the cultural way of farming, and this modern day farmer in the village is equating that, the cultural way of farming to organic farming. But now the question is, was this forefather of ours really doing what is organic? Now, in organic, what we believe is it's a four pillar pyramid. It's carried on four pillars. The organic one, we have the principle of health. I'm talking about health of the soil first, which will equate to the health of the plant.
Okay.
And finally, the health of the farmer, the consumer, the final eater. Now, I'll ask myself, was the forefather practicing or putting the health perspective in its full context, or it was just random kind of farming? What do I mean? They used to say, okay, if you have a banana plantation or coffee plantation, there must be a ficus tree, mutoba tree. And basically what they could explain is, it is a windbreaker. When the leaves fall, they decay, it's humus, and then finally food for the plant. But was that enough to qualify to be organic? Or was it just a culture? They used to do backcloth. Yeah. And primarily it was backcloth, but it ends up now serving as an organic kind of farming. Now, this modern day knowledge of organic agriculture comes in to say, look here, is the leaf complete to qualify the soil to be organic? What is in the leaf anyway, if it decomposes? What nutrient is it adding to the soil, to the plant, or to the tree? Is it just in the just what is in the leaf, or what the plant now gathers several meters deep to bring on the surface? So culturally they thought it was automatic, that person is organic. But now we come out and explain that no, it was just not a practice of culture or something, but a plant will need up to 52 minerals to survive. But now, with the practices, years on up to now, you find the soil will have maximum of 10 maybe, but the plant will survive. Now, this is where knowledge comes in to say, oh, this ficus tree you planted, your grandfather planted several years ago, its root could go 100 feet down, 50 feet down to collect those minerals that are in those rocks under there, those trace minerals. Talk about the silica, talk about the ions, talk about the calcium. The root brings them near to the surface. It saturates along the surface to make sense for the plant in terms of nutrition. You see, so the difference now is we are
the science behind it.
The science behind it, and the intentional use of this science for future ecological well-doing, because it's just not about us today.
It's about the future.
Because organic is not answering the question of today. I must answer the question of today while not compromising on the next. We were talking about the generation, this generation here. So organic qualifies the aspect of what I'm doing today on my land should not compromise the well-being of the generation to come.
Wow.
You see, so that's one principle of health. Then the principle of ecology. I mean, yes, they used to cultivate, but was the ecological aspect captured?
Yeah.
You know, because it's the whole environment in totality.
It's a 360 when you come to
360. Every organism must survive in there. So in your quest to mulch as an ancient way of preserving. So if I'm mulching and cover completely, will my mushrooms come out? Because it's fungi or something like that. You know, it helps in one way. If I thoroughly, give that thicket to the ground, am I considering the organisms under there? Am I considering micro and macro creatures that have to survive in that same?
All this is in the knowledge hub.
All that is in the knowledge hub.
How many farmers have access to this kind of conversation, Albert?
Eventually, the knowledge hub now is unpacking. Actually, what you're seeing now is
we are unpacking.
It could be the climax of the whole, because we've traversed sub-counties after sub-counties imparting this knowledge.
That is great.
Trained several farmers.
I really love that. When I come to you, Mrs. Luyimbazi, this conversation is good, and the tagline you've been traveling around with is "Know what you eat." Why should I know what I eat, and why is it so critical that I should be sensitive and intentional about what I eat?
Thank you, Andrew. Today I was reading a report by the World Health Organization, and it was stating the 4 main reasons, the 4 main causes of the non-communicable diseases. Tobacco, consumption of tobacco, inactive in terms of you not being able to exercise. The other was consumption of alcohol. And the one that hit me most was the unhealthy diets. So for you to be able to stay away from non-communicable diseases that are increasingly currently, 70% of the deaths globally are associated to non-communicable diseases. That means you have to look at each of these. But one that I think we all have to be very, very much passionate about is what we eat, because we can control what we eat. And I also keep on telling people, you are what you eat. Garbage in, garbage out. That is what you reflect. If you're obese, it clearly speaks to what you've been eating. So why should you be very conscious of what you eat? Just like Francis said, if we are very conscious of the car engines, then we should also be conscious of our health. So that goes back to getting the personal initiative to produce what we eat and make sure it's healthy. When you're going to the market, like in Nakasero, you will obviously have a variety of products. Tomatoes that are whitish in color, very freshly sprayed with chemicals, because our farmers believe this is what is going to preserve them longer. They will go weeks and weeks. And then they are too many. So somebody is forced to take a lot more because they worry that organic tomatoes are more pricey. But in the long run, you're increasing the intake of synthetic chemicals in your life, in your body, which will later result into catastrophic diseases or the non-communicable diseases in your life. So it's very critical that we all are very conscious of our plates in terms of what is there. Is it nutritious? Is it safe? Is it healthy?
Wow. She talks about the pricing of organic foods. But before we get there, let's talk about the chemicals, the pesticides we use while we're doing our agriculture. To a lay farmer in Bukoma and Simbi, they believe that actually when you plant let me say tomatoes, you have to come with your bomba and you spray around and you spray. There is less information about organic sprays. Or they are there, but they're quite expensive. How do we bridge that knowledge gap among our farmers in Mr. Nsanga?
Thank you very much, Andrew. And I want to quote, there is less information about organic.
Yes.
And so this is exactly what the Knowledge Hub is doing. There is that gap. And the farmer in Bukomansimbi probably wants to know, how can I grow organically? How can I grow without getting the pesticides? And that's what we have been doing with the farmers. Mr. Kakande will tell you that he's met and trained farmers because he's a multiplier on this project. And the farmers have confessed to us that all along we've been doing this because we did not know. Now, mark the key word. We did not know. Now that we know, we can do it. And so there's a lot of organic practices. There are lots of inputs that farmers can use. We have so many producers. Even when a farmer is not able to produce by himself, by herself, there are producers who are producing organic inputs. And they are all around. Mr. Kakande here produces biochar, organic manure, pesticides, so organic inputs. And so,
but are they affordable?
They are. I'll tell you for sure, 10 kilos of biochar, for example, is 10,000, isn't it? And then 10 kilos of your synthetic goes for 150. So which one is cheaper?
Organic.
Secondly, let me ask you a question. If you think, and the other day we talked about the same, that if you think education is expensive, try what? And so if you think that organic is expensive, did you know, or have you of recent found out the price of treating a cancer patient?
Oh God, I don't want to get into the figures. They are worrying, and my job is to give hope to the country.
Exactly. So let's give hope to the country. Because we are here. Josephine just said it. We have the ability to change what we eat, and we are in control. There are things that we might not control, but what we can control is the food we eat, and we can do it. Let's start from our homes and then be able to influence our communities, and we can have this achieved in all these countries.
Let's take this a little bit deeper. I wanted to take it to the first unit of our communities, our families, our wives. You know, they may not be farmers per se, but they buy what we eat at home. Mr. Luimbazi is lucky. He has a practitioner in the house. The rest of us, we are gambling. Do we have particular information, should I call them portals, where people can actually log in? Because my generation is digital, where they could come and they look at the different layers of information on how to identify an organic food from the usual, the practices. How do you consistently run the race of being organic and all that? Do we have that?
Yes, we do have, and thank you very much, Andrew. I think we are supposed to have started from that point. This project, the Knowledge Hub for Organic Agriculture in Eastern Africa, is being coordinated by two major organizations, by Vision Africa Trust in Nairobi and PELUM Uganda in Kampala. And we are in 5 countries. But this is just one hub out of the 5 hubs in Africa. And so the information that we are talking about is available on the digital platforms. One of them is Infonet Biovision. If you go to Google and just punch in Infonet Biovision, you're going to see every knowledge that you have been probably looking for in the area of human health, soil health, plant health, and animal health. There is also one we call Access Agriculture. Access Agriculture gives you all the nitty-gritties that you need to know about producing tomatoes, for example, organically, you know, preserving pineapples if you have in plenty and you are losing on the market because you have abundance, you know, all the organic practices that we are talking about. We have another platform called FIBO. FIBO is Africa Organic Manual. You guys are grounded. Yes, very much grounded.
You're so grounded. I love this.
Africa Manual, Africa Organic Manual is actually giving the real farmer the methods of, for example, terracing, you know, using organic methods to prevent pests and diseases in the crops and in animals. And yet to come is the KHEA digital platform. And the KHEA digital platform is going to encompass all that I've talked about.
Okay,
it is going to be a continental platform with knowledge from all the hubs that I've talked about. And its address is kcoa-africa.org. And when you go there, you'll see a message that we are launching it in the next 2-3 weeks.
Yeah. Wow.
And so this is going to be a very big thing, and all those who are online should be able to log on and see what are we talking about.
The experience.
Yes.
And Andrew, to add on to Francis's, by design, when we're training, we are intentional that it's not the head of the family to get this training.
Yeah, but the entire family.
How is the entire family appreciating this? So it's a farmer family now.
Okay.
Because when I'm teaching them, I always talk about the zone 0. Zone 0 is the head of the family. If he has the concept and doesn't spread it in the house, the next zone, I mean, it may not give us mileage.
Yeah.
So if father gets the concept that yes, we are going organic, does this kid know that why we don't use an agrochemical is because we want our life to be this and this in the next 70 years. If the kid doesn't get that concept and it's just the father's idea, we may not get mileage. But so what we do
because there is no clarity.
We're looking at a farmer family as a learning group to scale it up. So the knowledge is first in-house, then to the neighborhoods, to the village, and scales up sub-count and all over. Wow. And trust me, that approach will...
Mrs. Limbas, you wanted to jump in about that.
Yes. Francis talked about the international platforms that are available. But when you also come locally in Uganda, because one will access and say, but this is so European. But to localize it, if you look at PELUM, as I initially said, we are 66 member organizations scattered in 122 districts in Uganda. And each of these member organizations has a website that if you click, you'll be able to access different information on different agroecological and organic agriculture practices that are promoted. But even if you walk to them, Kakande is affiliated to AFAD. AFAD is just next door, here in Wakiso. So somebody can even walk in and
next
get this information.
Yes, I'll be coming through.
So there are many of those kind of NGOs around that are training people on organic agriculture. Each day we have training centers, we have centers of excellency. St. Jude Family Projects in Masaka is a center of excellency where you go and see all this in one place. Uganda Matters University in Kozi also has a lot of information on this. We have Rusidi is in Mitiana. We have Kulika in Lutisi, still in Wakiso. So there are very many that are really scattered, and you just have to walk in and access any information that you need.
There is, my dear viewer, I've seen Infonet Biovision. It's a channel of a Biovision farmer communication program that provides scientific and practical validated information and knowledge related to plants and animals. If you're one of those farmers, please, you need to tap into all these conversations. This is getting interesting. And I love how all these farmers trainings are for free for the farmers, or they pay some stipends just to keep the facilitators up and running.
Yeah, the Knowledge Hub actually caters for all, I mean, everything. I mean, we shall train you for 5 days. We shall feed you and take you back home. So
I love that. But again, who qualifies to come for these knowledge hubs? Do we need to be a sack of farmers, or do we need to be a village, or do we need to be 7-10 families and we come for this knowledge hub? Or what qualifies a particular group to come for these trainings?
The qualification for a farmer is, I mean, there's no qualification for a farmer as long as you do farming. Now, the question is, how do I tap into the training? It has to be an organized, synchronized kind of training. Now, my boss here has just said, PELUM at the apex deals with organizations that deal with farmer groups. Which farmer groups now have the farmers, the individual farmers. So it cascades down
to the structures.
So we fit in with structures that are already on community or village level. So farmers come into village groups, a farmer group, I mean, subscribe to an NGO, and then we come in and do the knowledge facilitation and everything.
Okay, Mrs. Rimbas, just recently PELUM rolled out a new strategic roadmap. How is it, and where do we tap into it, we the farmers?
It's all about farmers, I should say. Because as a network, we build the capacity of the member organizations, and in turn the member organizations take this knowledge and transfer it to the farmer groups. So whatever we are doing, our vision says we intend to empower communities to sustainably utilize their natural resources. And when we unpack natural resources, we are looking at the different compositions within an ecosystem, which is human beings, plants and animals. So at the end of the day, everything that we are working with, everything that we are promoting, all our interventions in agroecology and natural resource management, in agriculture market development and business linkages, in policy and advocacy to ensure that we have favorable policy environments, is intended to ensure that the livelihood of a smallholder farmer is improved.
I love that, Mr. Nsanga. I see the roadmap where it's going, and the project seems to be very exciting. But let's talk about this project of the farmers that PELUM has actually launched. Which areas is this project covering, the one of KHEA?
Okay, so the Knowledge Hub for Organic Agriculture in Eastern Africa covers the entire Eastern Africa region, like I said. And we go up to Madagascar, 5 countries. Of course, we are scaling up to the other countries. And at country level, we have the country implementing partners, and PELUM is both a co-host, but also a country implementing partner.
That's a big task, though.
Exactly. So you've heard where PELUM is.
Yes,
over 120 districts in the country. And so if I have to answer that question, I would say this project is in the entire country.
Is in nationwide.
But also to complement on that is that, you know, when we go digital, we don't have boundaries, do we?
We don't.
We don't. So you can access this even when you are in
Kuala Lumpur or in Malaysia.
Whether you're in Mauritius or you're in Russia, you can access. And so you can benefit from it. So essentially it covers the entire country and it is covering the entire
Given that it's a knowledge hub, we are focusing a lot on farmers. Have you thought about the students in schools and tertiary institutions? Are you engaging them? Because he said that we are not focusing on the today, we are focusing on the future generations. Now those future generations are still in school, some are still in the tertiary institutions. How are we engaging them so that they have a holistic picture of what we want to achieve?
Very interesting. I think I will start with my children. They're in school. And I told them I'm going to talk about organic agriculture and you should be watching what I'm talking about.
Do they understand?
They do. And if they have the opportunity, they will call in, because fortunately they are on half-term holiday and so they're in the house. But one thing that I want to talk to you about the students is that we have engaged students in so many ways. The first and very innovative way we've engaged the students is a debate. The country implementing partner, PELUM Uganda, has innovatively engaged schools in a debate on what we call agroecology. For students to understand what is agroecology, what can I do if I want to produce organic food? What can I do if I want my parents to appreciate? And so we have, first of all, had that entry point of debates on agroecology, and we have had symposia, we have had engagements with schools that are doing agriculture in different ways. You have heard Josephine talk about Uganda Matters University. So we are in the education sector as well, trying to get to the young people to understand that it is important for them to know organic agriculture is what we have to do, and I think this is a something that is scalable. It is something that we can take to the other countries, and they also have the same kind of innovations among schools.
I love that. That is to the students. Mr. Kakande.
Yes. I could add, in addition to that, we have what we call the Youth in Agroecology Learning and Business Track, Africa, which is entirely a youth-led project. And why we are doing this is to ensure that we interest the youth into agroecology and also incentivize them to do agri-entrepreneurship. That there is business. Instead of you having a boda alone, look at the business that you can get, the business opportunities that agroecology brings to you. And we also did a caravan that was entirely targeting the youth, because we know if something is not sexy, if something is not appealing, the youth won't participate.
Especially, you see, the problem we have had in this, in the continent, world continental problem. Every picture of agriculture, there is an old woman with a headband, with very dirty clothes and all. Or there is Mzee holding a hoe on the other side. Like there is a way you just feel like, no, that's not my space. But again, Mrs. Luimba, this caravan you were doing, was it targeting only land youth, or even us Bantubawansi who are dropouts but we are on the village and possibly have been carrying on the agricultural models, and we would like to advance in a way?
We actually targeted youths that are that are doing agriculture, conventional, organic, traditional. And our whole intention was to interest them into practicing organic agriculture. And the only way you can interest them is by giving them opportunities to interact with those that have been able to do it. So this was a group of youths that were able to transact the whole Uganda, moving from central to western and interacting with different agroecological exporters, companies that are trading here, and also farms that have stories behind them on the journey on how they started their organic farms. So it's not really specific that the Muntu Wawansi won't be there. Because we are not only targeting those that have already changed their mindset, we also have to work with those that we need their mindsets to change, because this will be our most impact story of change.
I think, to add on what Josephine has just said, I want to underscore the Muntu Wawansi phenomenon. Because when we are training through the multipliers, we don't ask for credentials of academics. What we look at is, are you a farmer? Or do you...
The will is there.
Do you have the will? You have the passion to do what we are talking about? And in our targets, we target 50% women and 50% young people.
Wow.
So in everything we've done, 50% of the people we've tapped and reached physically are young people. Young in the sense below 30. So we are doing that, and we don't want credentials. We want people who have passion, who are doing something in agriculture. And yes, it is working out.
Mr. Kakande, you want to jump in?
Yeah, more into that young generation we talked about. 2 weeks ago, we were at the agriculture educational show in Jinja. This targeted especially students. I was amazed. These kids came with innovations. You know, we are talking about organic innovations. I was impressed when I saw a school, it's Kasenyi Secondary School. They told me they were from Mubende. You know, I was telling them about, I mean, an organic pesticide using our ordinary plants. And they said, oh, we have our own. You know what they did? They used cooking oil and liquid soap.
That is organic?
It is organic. It is organic.
It looks chemical.
Looks chemical, but this liquid soap they use is an acceptable parameter in the organics. It is acceptable. And I mean, it was a pesticide. It was an innovation at their level. And that was a plus. Now, if a senior 3 student can appreciate that, what I ask of them is, can you tell mama at home that this really works and this is what we should be using? Of course, there's improvement here and there, but they are showing track that yes, we are here and this generation will understand and really do these things. So if it's about the generation, we are really catering for them, because that particular show was targeting them.
The young
We've
youth.
Trained several. I mean,
I love the direction there. Mrs. Luimba, this all seems to be a very huge project. Who is funding you? You see, where we are and the current economic times, I won't lie. As a journalist, times are hard. The World Bank report shows that Uganda is in the red line of the recession. And you've traversed the entire country, you say?
Yeah, we've...
It's heavy. Who is funding you? Where are you getting the money from?
Thank you so much, Andrew.
There are some other partners we need to appreciate here, because this is on an industrial scale, something that is changing the narrative of what we're eating. So we need to know who is funding this.
Thank you. PELUM has a number of projects that are being implemented, and for each one of these, there are different funders. So I'll begin with the KHEA, which is funded by BMZ, that is GIZ affiliated. And we have by Vision Africa Trust, which is Kenya, is also funding us on the Ecological Organic Agriculture Initiative. They are very instrumental in ensuring that we had the National Organic Agriculture Policy passed. We have Bread for the World. Bread for the World is a German-based organization. We have Swedish Society for Nature Conservation. We have Oxfam in Uganda that is also funding us. We also have the Alliance for Food Sovereignty in Africa, which is also based in Uganda. Their head office is in Uganda. We have other partners that we also work with, and together we bring consortiums, and one of those is our very own sister organization, PELUM Kenya, just next door. We have by Vision Foundation. All these are also partners in ensuring that we know what we are eating, and what we are eating is healthy and safe. So there are quite a number that are funding us on different initiatives, but all together amalgamated. Their concern is that we should change the narrative on what we eat. We should be able to promote farming practices that are sustainable, farming practices in Luganda that we say enime ya nakavundira, enima ezobutondo obujja. So that is what is agroecology, so that everything you're doing adds value, complements, brings synergy to the different systems within the environment.
Wow. She has told us the funders. Now, with all this information, I'm wondering, has PELUM or KHEA, in one way or the other, trained journalists on how to cover these kind of conversations? Because we have those at the village and the parish level to the national level. We have those in senior secondary school. The Fourth Estate, as a channel that disseminates this information, has KHEA and PELUM taken this as a responsibility to train us to understand what you are reporting? Because it seems easier, but it's tactical in a way. What are you all doing about that?
I really appreciate, Andrew, the way you bring out these issues and the way you actually want to empower yourself and but also the other guys.
Very much so.
Who are working with you,
very much
which
so.
is very good,
Yes.
and I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
We are doing everything we can. Every time we have an opportunity, we have what you normally do, the press conferences. And in these press conferences, we have the opportunity to give the media the technical information that they need, but also on how to report on what we are doing. In Rwanda specifically, we have done what we call the media envisioning. Media envisioning workshop, where all the media houses came together, and then we told them, we are doing organic, and this is how we do it, and this is what you should be reporting, and this is how you should be reporting it. And so you tickle me.
That was in Rwanda.
Yeah, you tickle me into
Come
thinking.
back home here.
I'm now back here. I am tickled to think. Yes, it is now ripe. Because we need the media to understand what we are talking about. We need the media because it's a very important partner.
Yes,
the media is a very important.
It's a critical
partner.
Conversation. Why I'm asking this, we're having this conversation, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm getting all this information, and some of my peers don't understand this. They could possibly find you when you're having a workshop or an expo of organic foods, and to them every food looks organic. It's not the usual one, and that's why I'm worried that with all this information, I can find it on the hub, but making sense of the data needs technical people like you. So we don't know how. Now it is ripe. So when should we expect this
I
to
think
come?
I am taking it right on.
Thank you.
Head on.
Yeah.
And in a very short while,
Yeah.
we should be talking business.
Well done.
Where are all the media house people? Where are they? Where can we find them? And then that will be the next question
Very
to
much
you.
so.
And then we have the envisioning for the Ugandan media houses.
Well, the conversation is about knowing what you eat, and this is powered by PELUM Uganda. They are looking at a couple of things, and know what you eat. It's a conversation you ought to actually understand. A couple of people here are tweeting, and let me just sample a couple of people here. Okay, someone here says, okay. Someone here says, a very great conversation, Andrew and the team, and thanks, well done. The problem is all this you're talking about is in English. Some of our farmers are in Uganda. When are they going to come in our local languages? That is one. And this one else is coming from another person, Mwebe. Mwebe says, good conversation, but what happens to the inclusion aspect? How are they plugging in the inclusion, those with impairedness? We have people who have vision impairments or hearing impairments. How do you handle this when you're communicating it down to them? I know he's actually bringing it back to NTV, but I'm throwing it to you now.
Yeah, actually, it's a very good observation.
Yeah.
Incidentally, for the impaired, I'll be honest with you, we have not encountered that yet on the teams. Okay. Maybe we have, without knowledge, skipped that. But my project manager is here. We can always have those in his sign language interpreters on board. However, I think the communities vary here and there. Yeah, it's not quite common to find those our friends the impaired. Yeah, in the gardens, in the farming world. Actually, it's a thing that you will not get them there actually. Well,
I think the reason why at times they don't attend or they don't come up, because they usually think they're not compensated. Communities on the ground where I thrive, I be so much in the communities. The moment they see day one there is a sign language person, and the next they will mobilize them, because the locals know where they are and they know their farmers. They say, by the way, you'll be catered from the other side. And thank you so much for that. Mr. Nsanga, language issues. Someone says this is a very good conversation, but when are you going to cater for the other audiences that possibly don't understand English, and the same information goes down to them?
Thank you very much. I think we have already catered for that. Okay. We have been to the local languages media houses, the FM stations across the country, and I believe they are not speaking English. They are speaking local languages. We have gone there already. Our trainings, it's because we are here with you, Andrew, who speaks English. Our trainings are in local. Our trainings are in local languages. You see? So we train our farmers in local languages, and the multipliers that we have on the team are people that really know how to speak the local languages. Okay, so it shouldn't be a problem at all, because we have already covered that. In fact, we are working with about, in the Eastern Africa region, we are working with about 7 languages: English, Swahili, Luganda, Iteso, French, Kinyarwanda, Kikuyu. There are some more. Okay. And so the local languages issue is really covered. Okay.
There's a question here from David Biakagawa. Thank you so much, David. So David said the last time you and I were here, you went through the silver screen. You mentioned of a mechanism that was being put in place for consumers to differentiate between organic and non-organic products at local retail markets. How are you faring, sir?
Thank you. That's a very good question. That guy is following us. I want to thank you very much for that question.
Well done, David.
David, that is wonderful. Thank you very much. I think we have now come up with physical markets. Okay. Okay. You talked about organic,
I saw one stores in Kalerwe.
Thank you. So we are coming up with physical organic markets, and one is in Abaita Babiri, another is in Namayumba, there's one in Iganga, there is one in Mukono, there is one in Zambia. Okay? So we are clearly differentiating between the conventional and the organic markets.
How does one get to know that this is an organic market? What are some of those bits? Because while in Kalero the guy has his signpost there, organic foods only. Okay. That one is easier for me. But imagine I'm just walking from Villa Road in Zambia. Okay. How do I know this market is organic?
Most of the markets that I've talked about, one, work with organic farmers. And so last time we talked about the conversation of participatory guarantee systems. Yes. Where we bring farmers together and they work together under trust. Okay? We trust that we are using organic inputs, and whoever is not is pushed out because the system is built on trust. Yeah. Okay? So that is one way. The other way is that some of the organic products that are certified are actually labeled. So they have labels of the organic mark. Like we have in Eastern Africa, we have the Kilimo High mark. So if you find a product with a Kilimo High mark, then you know it is certified organic. But I want to invite Josephine here to compliment on this, because we have the markets and we have delineated properly from the conventional kind of markets. But also we have people who are, I get supplies in my home.
From organic supply.
Exactly. I don't have to move to the market, because today I got eggs, local eggs.
Organic eggs.
I got Sukuma Wiki organic. And I get this from Kulika. Kulika has farmers, many farmers. Okay, so they supply me because I eat organic. Wow. And so many people are doing this. I know that Josephine.
So does your border guy know where to find it?
Yes. Not my border guy. Kulika has a system of delivering. So it's not a border guy. It's a delivery guy from Kulika.
Do they have an app?
They do.
We're getting there. Yes. Josephine, let's take us through this. How is it faring? I love the way he breaks it down, and there is a lot of convenience that I can actually order organic foods from my home and it drops to me. In Kachiri, I hope we have one, because that's where I reside.
You reside in Kachiri?
Yes.
Kulika is
just
actually...
Kulika is a few miles away from Kachiri.
So you can get everything.
How are we faring with the mapping out of these organic farmers' products and those that are non-organic?
Thank you so much, Andrew. And I would like to really appreciate David that brought in the question. It shows that he has interest, he's following, and he's making us accountable for some of the commitments that we're making on air. For one to be able to differentiate organic products from inorganic products with your naked eye, is as long as it's not certified and labeled, it's quite difficult. So what we're doing is what he has talked about in terms of the market, clearly having distinguished markets. And if they are within the conventional setting, like the one in Kalere, there's one in Nakasero, you find that they are a little separate, because organic demands that there should be a buffer to avoid contamination that is associated with the conventional products from the organic products. But for the consumer to be able to identify an organic product, they can only do that if they are not an expert, is if it's labeled. And to be labeled, that means it has to be certified, just like how we just see the UNBS mark. So there are different marks for different markets that clearly show that this is an organic product. If you're trading in Europe, you'll find quite a number. You'll have fair trade, you'll have series. In Uganda, we have the Uganda Organic Certification Limited, which is responsible for certifying products as organic. And if you conform with organic practices and principles, then they'll be able to give you that mark. So when you get this mark, that means on each of your products, you have to make sure that it is attached. So that when somebody is buying, they are able to see that, just like how you see the UNBS mark, that this is organic, it's produced organically, and so it's safe for you to consume. And
that's what I always look out for. Before I let you go, many complaints of low access to the market by the organic farmers. How is PELUM dealing with this?
Thank you so much. We can't shy away from this because right now we are raising awareness, and with awareness, Kakande is energized to go back and produce more. So that means that the production is going to go a little higher. And with production, they'll come back to PELUM and ask, so where are the markets? Because they've told us to consume. And I'm looking at the people that are listening to us and viewing us right now and watching that the producers who are farmers, myself inclusive, have these products. The challenges that we normally face is that the consumers, most often times, will not give us what is due or what we deserve. Because you're
Zonna nyanya.
Muyole, you know, twala tugende, katasa, mpa katasa. Organic is not that way. And that's why they always say expensive, cheap is
But
always expensive in the long run. So for us to be able to address that, we're establishing organic markets. One in Namayumba, like you said, there's one in Iganga, and we are trying to encourage our member organizations, the 66, to establish as many markets, as many outlets as possible, so that we do not have to get products all the way from Gulu coming to Kampala, because in that way we're actually contributing to climate change because of the emissions. So we want to make sure that wherever you are, you can access an organic product. In Ginger, we have PEFO that is trying to establish an organic market. These are basically old ladies, widowed, that are coming together to make life more meaningful and produce organic, and establishing stalls along the way that they can be able to sell organic. So our very number one strategy is to do establishment of organic markets. Online marketing. We have our very own Eastern and Southern African Small Scale Forum, SF, that has an app. It's called Kilimo app, which is online, and it gives you a variety of organic products. And these are selling to people in, what is this market along NTV Road? No, Kayawe?
Kajansi.
No. Chibuye market, they do sell in Nakasero, they do sell, get orders from Owino. And people are keeping on asking for these products. Local chicken, local eggs, gonja, chivuvu, chetumula, insusuti. So all these are very much available. So we are doing online marketing, we are trying to establish online stall, physical markets, but also door-to-door. If you need local chicken, I'm available.
And to add on, Andrew,
yes,
you know, this thing of going organic, it starts in the head. You appreciate that, yes, the time is now.
It is a mentality thing.
I should now go the direction of organic. And in doing so, we've tracked consumer behavior. You talked about your generation. You are very smart these days, that you do not just eat because I've been told it's organic. You want to trace where is it farmed
from,
who is farming it, and in what process, what are the processes. So that's where we're going, that these specific organic consumers have these details. They will actually follow it up to where it's coming from.
Well done. Mr. Nsanga, as we're finalizing, what are your parting shots? Now that we know why we must know what we eat, where does this campaign end from? And what is our call to action as citizens to this campaign of know what you eat?
We are here with this campaign for a whole month, and in different formats, on social media, on TVs, on radios, and in newspapers. And for me, somebody told me one day, it's not something that is new to you, and I know you know it. They told me that eat food like as if you're eating medicine, because one day you'll have to eat medicine. As if it is your food. And so for me that sank.
That's deep.
It got into my bones, and I'm like, okay. So to the viewers, to our listeners, to David, people like David who are asking very pertinent questions, I want us to wake up. Wake up to this call. Go organic. It is not easy. I know that when you're used to your pizza and what?
Pizza, masala chips.
It will be a process. But it is possible. I've told my children, if you want soda, I will not give you soda. I'll give you something else. And they appreciate. Exactly. So we need to start from there.
Okay.
In my house is where everything starts, and I know that
spreads, yeah.
Yes, and I know that each one of us, wherever we live, we can start from our houses. Okay. We sweep our houses clean. If we sweep our doorsteps clean, the whole world will be clean.
Thank you.
Those are the words of Mother Teresa.
Well, thank you so much. Josephine, what are your parting shots, Mrs. Limbazi?
Thank you, Andrew. When I was starting, I said you are what you eat.
Yes.
And increasingly, we are having very many actors that are coming in to control what we eat. Now is the time for Ugandans that are watching, for you to be able to produce your own. If you don't, then you won't have options of what you're going to eat. And one scholar said at one time that whoever controls the seed controls the food, and so controls the world.
That's it.
If you can't be able to control your own food by knowing what you want to eat, by knowing what you want to put on your plate, then we are going to have somebody else seeing this narrative and demand of us to eat what they want us to eat. Uganda, wake up. Organic is the way to go.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kakande. In a minute, what are your parting shots?
Knowing what you eat. I mean, it starts with, I talked about the health, starts with the soil. I mean, it will ask you, I mean, the person working on it, what are you giving me to eat? I mean, if you're giving me what is compromising my health of the soil, I'll pass it on to the plant. So the plant will ask, I mean, what are you giving me to eat? So the plant also wants to mind what it is eating. So if you give it an agrochemical, soil will pass it on the plant, and the plant will not argue with you. It will say, okay, I will store it in the corn.
This is it.
I mean, and then the corn will say, oh, this is what you put in the soil, so I'm delivering it to you now. You deliver it to the body, so the body will say, oh, you're giving me this. Okay, if you are to last 90 years, now I'll explode at 50. Stop at 50, Mr. Cancer will say, thank you very much for storing me in your body. And you see, so this is what we need to live by.
It's an
appreciate
ecosystem.
The eating from the soil, feed it good. The good soil will feed the plant well, and the plant will feed you.
Wow. Thank you so much. This has been a conversation, Know What You Eat campaign, and it was powered by what we call the Knowledge Hub for Organic Agriculture in Eastern Africa. Today in studios I had Mr. Albert Kakande, who happens to be the KHEA Multiplier Uganda. I had Mrs. Josephine Asia Luyimbazi, the country coordinator, PELUM Uganda, and the KHEA project co-host as well as a coordinator. And I had Mr. Francis Nsanga, the KHEA project manager. This conversation has changed how I think about foods. Have you thought about what you eat? You can grow it yourself, but you better Google them and you understand the organic practices of farming. I'm Andrew Chamagero. Good afternoon.